Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope all you beautiful people are having a fantastic day. I know a lot of you are excited because the Indiana Fever are going to start playing again. Caitlin Clark's going to start playing again. And so I wanted to recap because Sports Media Watch, which does a really good job in terms of things like ratings and so forth, put out sort of a recap on the WNBA season before we headed into the Olympic break and the influence and impact of Caitlin Clark on ratings and viewership and attendance. And I say impact of Caitlin Clark. I think that's really, really important to understand. I'm going to give you a couple of things to show you that that is what we're talking about. We are talking about the impact of Caitlin Clark. Now, one of the things that really neat that I hadn't seen before that we'll get to. First, I want to kind of do a rundown, which is really interesting because this is across the board. Like if you look at this, each WNBA broadcaster has at least doubled its viewership through the first half of the season, which concluded on July 17. I mean, that is crazy. I mean, look at these numbers. ESPN ABC, 1.25 million viewers through 20 games, up 163% from the same point last season when it was 474,000. CBS, 1.23 million for their 5 games, which is more than double, 107% increase from the same time last year. Even Ion, averaging 579,000 for its Friday night games, more than double, 109% from last year's 277,000. And of course, NBA TV, 214,000, which seems kind of low, but it's up fourfold from last year when they averaged only 51,000. Of course, the largest audience was that, hey, it was a good game. It was a really good game, that WNBA all-star team versus the Olympic team, almost 3.5 million, 3.44 million viewers, the largest WNBA audience of any kind, since the league's opening weekend of play all the way back in 1997. Now, there were 16 regular season games, which I had mentioned before, and then also the WNBA draft and the All-Star game. So 18 telecasts total have topped 1 million viewers, which is a league record. The 16 is a league record. That's the official number, but that's a league record. And like I said, it's the first time we've had even one since 2008. So nearly 1/5 have hit that million viewer mark. But this is really cool. This is what I have not seen before. We've talked a lot about it, and I just mentioned, no million viewer games since 2008. Look at this. If you can see this, we're going all the way back. So here's 2008 where we had one. None in 2007. 2 in 2006. 2 in 2005. 4 in 2004. 4 in 2003. And then there, you had double digits. It was pretty consistent from 97 to 2002. The WNBA started off pretty well. It had obviously the advantages of the connection with the NBA, so you were getting a lot of mentions on ESPN. You were getting games telecast on ESPN. Not a lot of pro sports leagues, when they start, have that. That's been a real issue because it's not a sport like basketball or football in America. That was a real issue for MLS way back when it started, and then the NWSL more recently, and not having this secure TV deal with someone like an ESPN and getting that kind of coverage and marketing. And then, unfortunately, along probably with some other factors, it just didn't have the entertainment value to a lot of people, and people who were tuning in out of curiosity and wanted to support and see what this new women's league was about, they tuned out. As you can see, double digits from 97 to 2002, no more than 4 in any year since, none since 2008 when there was only one. 18, we'll say 16 because the All-Star game and the draft don't count, but 18 this year. And then, of course, it talks about the growth. Caitlin Clark is the growth, because then again, I mentioned this when I did the Olympic ratings. Remember the Olympic ratings? $3 million for the first game, which was less than the All-Star game. Only $2.1 million for their second game. And then they never, ever even told us what the next 3 games were. And then they gave us the Olympic game number, which was actually disappointing. $7.8 million for a gold medal match in the Olympics. And I did a video on that, and you looked at past numbers and so forth. By the way, it got crushed by what the women's soccer team did. And basketball is a much bigger sport in America than soccer is. Although soccer's getting there. They're making baby steps. But and she also had the 3 largest women's college basketball audiences, which I mentioned, that were all this year, 12.3, 14.4, and 18.9 million. They are the final 8, the regional final against LSU, 12.3 million, 14.4 million was the final 4 against UConn, and then 18.9 million, the Iowa final against South Carolina. I mean, those are big time numbers. And then Clark, it says Clark's the biggest draw in the league, the biggest driver of viewership. And then they hedged a little, but overall, I'm going to let this pass, but I'm going to cover it a little bit later in another one. It's not a coincidence the top 4 audiences this season, the All-Star Game, Draft, and 2 Fever Sky games also included Sky rookie Angel Reese. The All-Star Game would not have changed at all. The draft would not have changed at all. I will give Angel Reese a little bit of credit for the Fever Sky games, because I think you had Caitlin Clark haters that were going to tune in, some Angel Reese fans, yes, and then also you had Caitlin Clark fans, more of them tuning in to see that compared to other games. So yeah, there's definitely a little impact on those games. I wouldn't say it was a Michael Jordan, Knicks, or Charles Barkley situation, but there was definitely impact, which is why a couple of those Sky games are up at the top. We've gone through this, right? This includes the draft and the All-Star game, 3.4 million, 4 million, 2.45, and then you have the games. And right in the first 2 are Chicago and Indiana. But then 14 of the 16 are Indiana. 14 of the 16 are Indiana. The only time Chicago's in here are the 3 times they played Indiana. This game, I always forget which way it was, but it either led into the Fever game or it was after the Fever game. This one led into the Fever game. On the weekend, it was a little earlier. I think there was like an hour and a half break between this game and the Fever game. So completely everything dominated by Caitlin Clark. And then you have, like I said, those 3 college games, the regional final, the Final Four, and the final. The lowest of them was the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark game, the rematch from the title game before. Huge numbers, but I'm just saying she drew more against UConn and South Carolina. But those are huge numbers. So what do we have going forward? This just talks about advertising being up, which is obviously very important. If you're not bringing in more money with the higher ratings, that's going to be a problem, and that's going to be really important for the media rights deal going forward. And then the ifs. This is what's going to be interesting. We had this huge break. I think I'm seeing a lot of people that are still here, that are still going to be tuning in, but you're also going to have interest in other sports, right? Like this talks about start of football. NFL and college football is huge in America. That's going to be huge in terms of competition with the WNBA. CBS has 3 games left, including 2 on Saturday. ESPN ABC only has 4 games left. Clark only 1 across the 2 broadcasters. Matchup against Seattle and ABC this Sunday. These games will probably, conflict in some way with football somewhere. You're going to get baseball into their stretch run. So it's going to be interesting to see how the ratings bear out going forward. The other thing I'd like to point out with the Caitlin Clark effect that we're not seeing with others is the things like her Wilson Limitless series with the basketball, right? And how quickly that sold out and how quickly her All-Star jersey sold out. And the fact that from, months ago, not long after the season started, her jersey was number 4 in sales overall. If you included the NBA, which is like, 20 times bigger than the WNBA. And the other thing I'd like to point out, because I think this is really important, is when we look at attendance, set a record for home and away combined, already set the record, and they still have 14 games left. And for the Angel Reese thing, and there's a reason I'm pointing this out, people who like to say both, we go Chicago Sky's all the way down here. Now, I know that I believe they only hold like a little over 10,000, right? You can see their high is under 10,000. And the first big game back, right? They got a chance to play against 3 Olympians in the Phoenix Mercury to be the first game back after that break. And the attendance for the game was 9,025. No sellout. They didn't even sell out. Barely broke 9,000. And why do I point that out? Because we're still getting this. This is an article about the Hamby lawsuit against the WNBA and the Las Vegas Aces, right? And talks about the WNBA being in the midst of this banner year, a season of record growth, the buzz, blah, blah, blah. And it says, all buoyed by the arrival of a star-studded rookie class featuring Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. A star-studded rookie class featuring Caitlin Clark. And what are the words I said they're all saying now after Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese? Now, I just did this whole video and just showed you all the numbers and showed you how Caitlin Clark is involved in all of that. And yet this article, by the way, which was just from yesterday, did exactly what I said in a previous video and gave the credit to, I mean, they did it all. They didn't just say the and Angel Reese. They also did the rookie class featuring Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. It's not Angel Reese, man. And the sooner y'all get that, the sooner you can prepare for trying to take that interest and expanding it to the rest of the league. Because I'm telling you this right now, all the new eyeballs coming in that are Caitlin Clark fans are getting tired of this and Angel Reese or this the rookie class stuff. See, I feel like even taking it away from Angel Reese because they take it, or fans, they take it personal and think it's hating. Look, they could be any player. Any player that they were saying about that in this rookie class, I'd be saying the same thing that I'm saying. Just like I'm going to say it about the rookie class, right? That was a big thing too. Remember that? Now they're emphasizing Angel more, but they still say it. And that was a bigger deal earlier. It was all about the rookie class. It's not the rookie class, folks. It's not the rookie class. It is Angel Reese. And the better you get into accepting that reality, the better off you are in terms of cashing in on this Caitlin Clark effect and making it permanent for growing the league and becoming profitable. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to start going crazy with the ranting about this. But now, here we go. We're heading into the stretch run. I believe we got more than the season left than you think. I mean, the Indiana Fever have 35% of their games left. And then you got to get into the playoffs. So it's going to be really interesting as we roll into football season to see what kind of effect that has on the WNBA, if it affects the rest of the WNBA, but maybe not Caitlin Clark. If it has an impact on everyone, we'll see. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.